That is the sound of a 12-gauge shotgun, which can sound eerily similar to a firework. I'm here on West Water Street in Mayfield, Kentucky. Let's take a look at some of the different trash companies that residents are using on this street. GFL, Republic Services, and WastePath. That's already 3 different services in the span of only 5 houses on this street, which to residents can cause a safety hazard. Dr. Patterson is a former basketball player and a coach. And after working in education for over 20 years, he's still using those same lessons that he learned from the hardwood. Understanding the city of Mayfield's motivations behind this plan is extremely important. But you know what else is? Competition. If you ever want to take one of these bad boys out on a public road, you will have to check in with your local county sheriff's department, and they will greet you with this: a 15-point inspection to make sure that your vehicle is up to code. Tournament organizers are expecting attendance in the hundreds, maybe even nearing the thousands, which will present a market boom for the local economy around here. But as you'll see, Major League Fishing cares more than about just money. The Murray State Thoroughbreds. It's been a long time since the racers went by that name. And Johnny Reagan Field was built in 1988 and in use since 1989. But in those 36 years, the Murray State Racers have never once made the College World Series. Teaching inexperienced drivers how to race in a safe manner is one of the many ways management here at the Beacon Dragway hopes to nurture and inspire the next generation of race car drivers. But just like all other sports, the economy benefits too. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation has taken the lead on this case, and behind me here is the active crime scene. You cannot get past that TBI car. Now, the public affairs officer for TBI, Kim Wheeler, tells me that she can't give us any details on the cause of death, as that is part of the active investigation. But that being said, she can say that this is a homicide investigation. Now, as far as the victims, they have been identified by TBI as 21-year-old Matthew Wilson, 20-year-old Adriana Williams, 38-year-old Courtney Rose, and 15-year-old Braden Williams. District Attorney Danny Goodman confirmed with me today that Matthew and Adriana were the parents of the abandoned infant in Dyer County. Some people in the community have speculated some kind of tie to drugs. TBI said they have not ruled it out. Jen, he's been very busy, from moving his family to Murray, speaking with faculty and staff, showing his face around the community, and meeting with donors. He has wasted no time getting started. Patterson says there is a reason Murray State has a long history of academic excellence over the years, and that's hard work. As its 15th president, he vows to continue that tradition at MSU starting week 1. Local pastors say that this incident has rocked the community, and especially the children. Now, using church, they hope to bring people together to find peace, forgiveness, and an understanding. Now, this is the Antioch International Assembly, a church located in an old movie theater in downtown Mount Vernon. Pastor Tanika Dogan says she and other pastors around the community are offering full support during an emotional time. Speaking with people who've been outside in the heat all day long, they tell me the #1 thing on their mind is staying hydrated. Now, some people have been getting a little bit more creative with their cooling techniques.
And I got a special hat I wear, I just haven't got it on. That's got a fan in the bill. You know what I mean? Keeps me cool.
One of many ways Jim Moore battles the heat while working outside all day at the Paducah Riverfront.
A lot of water and a couple breaks. Well, they got to take a break every now and then. You know, we have to take breaks when it gets this hot.
Mercy Regional EMS Executive Director Jeremy Jeffrey says knowing when to take those breaks is key.
Your headache will start first, and you just get kind of a weird headache, and then I feel just really weak, like I need to sit down.
A high number of heat-related illnesses over the last couple of weeks during the heat advisory, and if you don't want to end up in here, you got to stay hydrated.
So if you're going to be outside, we can't start drinking water that morning. We need to do it 24 hours prior to, so that our body's well hydrated.
Even visitors from Florida are reaching for their water bottles.
It's been a challenge, drink lots of water and try to find a shady spot.
I have to slow down a little bit here because it is awfully hot.
Jeffrey warns about the pitfalls of ignoring heat safety.
Danger is the brain dying because it don't like to be really, really hot. And when it gets really, really hot, we start losing brain tissue, and we don't want that. Jeffrey says he wants people to understand that this is a serious issue and could mean life or death.
Live from the riverfront, Drayton Charlton-Perrin, WPSD, Local 6.
Are they concerned, Drayton?
They aren't just concerned, many are scared. This new law cuts state safety regulations and forces businesses to adhere only to federal regulation levels. And that minimizes worker protections but maximizes profits.
Safety is not going to be what it was before.
Chad Conley, Rapid Response Coordinator for United Steelworkers, reacting to Kentucky House Bill 398 taking effect.
There's 16 standards in all that were kind of industry specific and were created in response to accidents that had happened in the state.
All gone, resulting from the new law, which strips state safety regulations, enforcing federal regulations.
If there's a state-specific standard that's been set, or that's been adopted, there's probably a reason.
Kentucky protected workers from a 10-foot fall, now 30 feet under federal guidelines.
You know, if 6 feet versus 30 feet, that's a heck of a difference. That's a height that we work at all the time.
Under the new law, an employee must report safety violations within 6 months. That poses an issue for workers dealing with harmful substances.
Specifically, chemical plants is where I've been hearing most of the concerns. You know, you could be exposed to a chemical and not know it for, a long time.
Who stands to gain from this new legislation?
It was tilted towards the employer. It protects the business, but it doesn't necessarily protect the employees working in that business.
They pushed this through with not the worker, not the Kentucky worker in mind, but with, the business.
Despite the frustration, union leaders say they'll keep fighting for their people.
We've been putting together a letter, and we're going to come back next year and ask the state legislators to enshrine these 16 regulations that have been lost, because we want to ensure that everybody goes home at the end of the day with 10 fingers and 10 toes.
Governor Beshear vetoed the bill back in March, stating that Kentuckians would be less safe in the workplace. The Senate overrode the veto, securing its passage into law.
Okay.
In immigration news, a victory for Illinois' Democratic governor as a federal judge throws out a Trump administration lawsuit over Chicago's sanctuary city policy. An Illinois judge issued a 64-page decision Friday agreeing that the U.S. lacks standing to sue over the sanctuary policies. We are not too far away from the return of college football. At the end of the month, Murray State will kick off their season on the road, with head coach Jody Wright looking for improvement entering year 2 as head coach. Last year, the Racers had their worst season since 2006, finishing with 1 win, including a 10-game losing skid to end the season. Entering his first full offseason, Wright went a different direction with recruiting. Last year's team was full of transfers. This year's, not so much. Of the 67 newcomers on the team, almost all of them will be freshmen. An urgent search is underway in a small Montana town for this man, Michael Brown. Police are telling people to remain alert while they try to find the suspect in a deadly mass shooting. NBC's Kathy Park has the latest. With consumer headlines, an overlooked diet food is making a surprising comeback. Cottage cheese sales are up 20% in the United States compared to a year ago, and those sales have been climbing every year since 2022. The NFL and ESPN have reportedly reached a major agreement in which ESPN will get many of the league's top media holdings, including NFL Red Zone. In exchange, the NFL will get equity in ESPN, potentially worth billions of dollars. An official announcement is expected next week. Under the deal, ESPN will get access to Red Zone, NFL Network, 7 more regular season games, and more. The NFL could get up to 10% of ESPN equity. The deal would require regulatory approval, which could take a year. For more than 20 years, Hilbrick says he considered Oakley a friend, but he says with the level of inappropriateness involved, state police needed to open a criminal investigation. These are a couple of the messages Hilbrick says were used as evidence in the investigation. Using Snapchat, Oakley messaging a student, quote, "So you want me all to yourself." Another message said, quote, "That's a good girl."
Anytime you have to terminate a friend, it's hard, yes. I don't take that decision lightly. And of course, I don't take that decision lightly whether these guys are my friends or not, but you got to do what's best for the community. Doesn't matter our level of friendship, we're not going to continue to work here, and we're certainly not going to be entrusted with the children of this community.
Hilbrick wants to make sure that people understand that the internal investigation resulting in Oakley's termination is separate from the KSP criminal investigation. And at 6, a closer look at the internal findings. It was an electric atmosphere yesterday as good food and some seriously spicy politics were enjoyed by hundreds of people at the St. Jerome Fancy Farm Picnic. Here you can see the big crowds that came to support their representatives, waving flags, repping t-shirts, and heckling opposing political candidates. I was at the event yesterday, and between the jokes, the insults, the brags, and the promises, fans and politicians alike agreed that this year's picnic was a success.
I can't think of any place I'd rather be on the first Saturday in August than right here.
The Fancy Farm Picnic is known for its hot barbecue and spicy politics. U.S. Senator Mitch McConnell set the stage.
I am so glad to see that Mitch McConnell bothered to show up today.
The verbal warfare amongst politicians began.
They wouldn't have careers if it weren't for Mitch. Neither of these guys have built anything, done anything impactful, employed anyone, but boy, did they know how to take direction from a decrepit old mob boss.
Republican on Republican and Republican on Democrat.
We have a name for someone who opposed President Trump, supported BLM, and pushed DEI. A Democrat.
Only one Democrat speaker showed up. He was greeted to a sea of boos.
My name is John Andrew Williams, but you can call me Drew. I want to be your next U.S. House Representative here in District 1.
Competing against Republican Congressman James Comer for the 1st Congressional District seat.
I am born and raised Western Kentucky. I am a family man with a family business that I've been working in since I was 14 years old.
Contrary to his greeting, Williams' opponent Comer was greeted with a standing ovation.
People in small towns like Fancy Farm have common sense, and that's why they vote Republican.
But Williams wasn't fazed by the heat.
This is my community. This is where I'm from. You know what I mean? These are my people. And I think that, you know, I've been wanting to stand on that stage since middle school.
Here at the Fancy Farm Picnic, the speeches are over, the jokes have been made, and the insults have been thrown. But one thing that all of these politicians claim to have in common is the goal to create a better future for Kentuckians.
Western Kentucky has a lot of potential. As their senator, I want to work on this.
We're going to be building a coalition and a conversation that matters.
But why the Republican dominance at Fancy Farm?
When I was 10, it was about 15% Republican and 85% Democrat. Over the years, the Republican numbers kept growing to the point where it was 50-50 when I got started in politics 15 years ago, and now it's almost 100% Republican. People in small towns have conservative values and have conservative ideologies.
How do the people feel about the 145th Fancy Farm Picnic?
Some of the jokes and digs were a little bit too much, I thought, but generally I liked hearing all the speeches.
We do not approve of what our sitting representatives are doing in Palestine and Israel. I think we did a fantastic job of making that very, very, very clear.
Yeah, I mean, it lived up to the hype, honestly.